Good morning. This is the weekend update for Buy Sell Short for Saturday, February 8th. Well, we finally got that confirmation on the bottom, and up we have gone, led by the large caps. Nice rally over the last couple of days, capped off with Friday's move on the, how would you classify it? The jobs report. We alluded to it earlier in the week. It really did not matter what the jobs report said, in my opinion. If the number was huge to the upside, they would have rallied us. If it was what it actually came out to be, they were going to rally us. Over the last several months, actually probably the last year if you go back and look, each monthly jobs report has, if there's been a retrace into it, has helped to mark a bottom, and this month's was no different. So up we go. Couple of things to note on the Dow daily chart. More as reference points, little learning tips, especially for you new guys. There's a couple of things that we really like to look for when we're trying to tag possible bottoms. One of them, which has worked fantastic over the last several months, is the extreme MACD. When you get down to these this was the lowest we'd gotten in a year, coupled with the fact that we had stochastics under the 20 level and curling up, plus we had RSI bouncing, from one of the most oversold levels we've seen since October. The recipe was there for a bounce back. The other thing I love to use as a target on a bounce back on stocks and indices is this green line here, the 20-day exponential moving average. It's one of my favorite moving averages to use, when you're trying to decide what a target is on a bounce. That level right now is at 15,900 for all intents and purposes. Now, if we look at the 15-minute chart, you can see mid-morning on Friday, we saw a golden cross on the 15-minute time frame. That is when the blue line, 50-day, crosses up through the red line, 200-day moving average. Love using this indicator on the 15-minute chart. Over the last several years, the average return after a golden cross is about 150 points, and that would take us right up to this 15,916 level before the market decides what it wants to do. Dow Transports, it had a pretty hefty sell-off, but not to the extent that we saw on the Dow. And essentially, we fell back. If I was to continue this line over, we've just got this, nice little channel in place from 7K to 7,500. And, we got a nice bounce, extreme negative MACD, the drill, stochastics in the basement. RSI about to break 50. We are right at this resistance level on the Dow Transports. This high that we saw last week, 7,343. This is the level. If we can see the Dow Transports break through this, we're probably going to see a retest of the highs. McClellan Oscillator. Now you see why I love to use this as an indicator whenever everyone is running for the sidelines on the market. We ended up bottoming right exactly at the level that we bottomed back in October. Rather interesting, isn't it? When we go back and look at the daily chart, that was the last significant sell-off that we had, where we had a 1,000-point sell-off. This time we had 1,100 and something point sell-off, and the McClellan Oscillator almost the same. Back up we go. Russell, nice fat bounce on that one. Identical to the other indices. We had an extreme MACD. We had stochastics under 20. We had RSI at very oversold levels, and up we went. So this next week, the large caps, of course, always lead the start of these bounce back moves. We started to see a lot of money come into speculative stocks on Thursday and especially on Friday, namely biotech stocks. When you see the biotech stocks bouncing nicely, seeing good money come into it, that means greed's back in the market, the speculative money is back in the market, and that means, small caps are going to get ready to join in with the party. It's usually the large cap stocks that lead first, and then we see that money flow down into small cap stocks. Last couple of weeks, we have not been sending out a whole lot of trading alerts. They've been mostly intraday trades, 1-2 day trades, not the kind of stuff we can email out, really. Just being cautious on the market, half positions, trying to book small gains. Going to be looking to change that this week, moving back to a normal stance, normal position sizes. You probably see a few more email alerts coming out next week as well for some near-term swing plays. And we had, one go out on Friday. We'll go over that in a little bit. One thing I wanted to note, oil has bounced surprisingly well over the last few days, although this probably has more to do with the dollar selling off due to all the nonsense we're seeing happen in the currency markets. But, if we get a break of 101, 102 on oil, it might put some small oil stocks back into focus. So that's just something to keep in the back of your minds going into this week. But anyway, let's look at some stock plays. ACST, very nice potential breakout setting up here. On Friday, they reported that they sold 1.3 million shares to a hedge fund that was unable to participate in a previous financing because of the rules. They actually got to price this one above what it's been trading at recently. So, might have kept the stock in check. Friday, 135 is the breakout. 150 plus would be the target on this one. Another biotech stock setting up nicely is Vical. Now, we got a nice pop on this one over the last couple of days. 135 is the next freedom area. That was the same level back in early January that lit this one up as well. So we've got the 20-day exponential right there. If it's able to push through that early next week, we could see a move up here to the 150s zone. Another biotech stock that could see a nice bounce back is RGDX. Got a nice bounce on this one on Friday. 200-day moving average, of course, is the logical target here. That is at 168. Another one we got a biotech theme left and right. ZLCS is setting up just like it did back in January when we tagged this one at a buck. What was it? $1.12, $1.13, and the stock went up 90% over the next few days. Similar setup. Coming on it again, and the only logical target right now is $2 with stops at the low on Friday of 140. So some decent risk reward on this stock, especially if we continue to see the biotech stocks advance. Now, one bio that looks great going into next week is KOOL. This one had a monster run a couple of weeks ago on some very, very positive news. The funds are moving into this one in a big way. This has formed a very nice flag setup on the chart. They completed a financing, which is what this was right here. This was the financing crooks getting the heads up on a financing, and the financing being announced. Stock bounced back, has come back again, but it's holding up above the pricing of $2. What we've seen happen many, many times over the last several months is these big mover stocks come back, consolidate for a few days, and then run to new highs. This flag has set up nicely for next week. 225 to 230 will light it. If it gets any positive press, this stock is off to the races. 265 would be the secondary target on this one, and then a possible move up to 3. But this one, we've got a golden cross that happened during the financing move down. Typically, whenever we get a golden cross, we see a day or 2 or 3, sometimes even more of weakness before we see a big bounce back. And this stock's setting up for that move this week. DCTH, cup and handle setup, ICPT, liver cancer stocks doing very, very well on Friday. This stock has been one of the most annoying stocks because, it's been holding this 50-day moving average, which is very, very bullish. One of these days, it's going to go big. A couple of other plays we did on Friday. IDI, the social media ad plays were up big, like MEET. Another one to look at would be INUV. Ridiculous how this stock is trading down here when meat with no profits. What these guys do, I have to look at the numbers. Put it like this. INUV has doubled the sales and a quarter of the market cap of meat. Insane. The next earnings report, which is due out in March, I think will finally put all the eyes on this stock. So it's just a matter of waiting for that to happen. Quick mention on ONCY. Another bio that got hammered with the market. Big bounce back. It's got a resistance level around 163.65. If it can get through that level next week, it could see a move up to 185 plus. So, that's it for the video, guys. We're setting up very, very nicely for next week. What we saw happen last week, a lot of chatter out there, especially on Thursday, the business media out there going, the jobs report's going to suck, the market's going to tank. everyone to the left side of the boat, and you know what happens? Market always does the opposite of what everyone thinks. So up we went, and now you've got everyone saying, well, this is just a dead cat bounce. We're going to bounce up. We're going to go back down to new lows. This is when the shorts get sucked in, and they just power this market higher. And I think we could be in store for a very nice February unless we continue to get that nonsense from overseas. But for right now, going into this next week, small caps look great. Have an awesome weekend, guys. See you in the chat room on Monday. Bye.